In the world of Super Smash Bros. Character selection, there are a lot of different people with a lot of different opinions about which characters do and don't belong in Smash Bros. And honestly, very few of them can be told they're outright wrong. Unless it's Goku, then you're wrong. Anyway, of all the different characters that have ever graced Nintendo consoles, somebody who has always deserved a spot, yet never made it to the limelight, is none other than Santa Destroy's #1 assassin, Travis Touchdown. Now, who is Travis Touchdown? That's a very important question to answer, because unless you were playing hardcore games on the Wii in the latter half of the 2000s, which almost doesn't sound like a category or genre, unless you were playing games like that, especially those with a very niche Japanese kind of audience with a Western influence, you don't know anything about No More Heroes. So let's talk about Travis Touchdown a little bit. Travis Touchdown is an otaku and an assassin from the series No More Heroes. In these games, Travis is tasked with taking on a different list of assassins to kill them in order to become the #1 ranked assassin in each game. Now, what makes Travis interesting is that his entire thing is he just decides to do it one day. He just says, okay, you know what? I'm gonna be #1. And at the end of his first assassination mission, he decides, if I win, hey girl who's giving me these jobs, Sylvia, you're hot. You'll do it with me if I win. So this becomes his motivation at the very start, and Travis is a very crude, kind of a terrible person kind of character. He's got a cat at home, he watches a lot of anime, collects figures, and he's a general otaku, as I said before. But what makes Travis so special as a character is that this bizarre aspect of his personality bleeds into the gameplay. And when I say bleeds in, I do mean there's a lot of blood in these games, unless you're playing the European versions. So No More Heroes gives us a lot of over-the-top, crazy Western influence, but also Japanese influence stuff, because Suda51 and his folks there at Grasshopper Manufacture, they're a little bit of East and West mixed together. Travis has some very straightforward style attacks using a beam katana, which, funny enough, was the first video game in my experience to ever get lightsabers right. These things can cut people in half and do so very violently. When Travis isn't wielding one of his katanas, he's instead using wrestling moves that he learned from a legendary wrestler, rumored to be Masked Smith from Killer 7. Travis is a luchador at heart, and he spends a lot of time when he's not playing video games or watching anime, also watching wrestling matches and learning from them. The guy has a massive collection of wrestling masks on his wall, and frankly, it's a good chunk of who he is as a person. He loves wrestling, and he incorporates it into his assassinations, so if that's something that you'd love to see in Smash Bros., something more than just another sword character, well, guess what? Travis isn't just another sword user. Aside from the fact that his sword is a beam sword, or a beam katana, he also is a very advanced luchador with a lot of different techniques. He's not the same as any other sword user that you're going to see in the game otherwise. Now, I've talked about the character, but you're probably asking yourself, or asking me, Stanpai, why are you talking about this random niche character, and why should he be in Super Smash Bros.? For what purpose do you believe that he has any reason to be legitimate enough to be in the games? Well, something very significant, actually. The relationship between Suda51 and Masahiro Sakurai, creator of Super Smash Bros. It's been seen many times in different game industry events that Suda51 and Sakurai have a pretty cool relationship. While you'd think most game developers are probably pretty buddy-buddy as they meet each other at all these different events, Suda and Sakurai have a very special bond that at least Suda very much appreciates and wants to be more involved with. More specifically, he wants to work with Sakurai one day. That's like his dream project, is to work on a Super Smash Bros. Style game with Sakurai. Interestingly enough, in the same interview conducted by IGN, Suda51 stated the following: "In all seriousness, next time he does decide to go and make a Smash Bros. Game, I'm seriously going to tell him, put in Travis Touchdown. Come on, put him in the game." So every time we talk about this, partially in the middle he listens, he starts to laugh, and that trails off into, haha. "This time, Sakurai-san, I'm not going to let you go. You're not getting away." Now, this sounds pretty funny, and it's obviously meant to be taken somewhat in jest, but it's no joke that Suda51 wants this to happen. The question is, why is Suda51 and Travis Touchdown the character, why are they entitled to a slot in Super Smash Bros.? Well, something very interesting happened in the past that gives us the answer. During the development cycle of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, the game was delayed multiple times. These delays were pretty significant, we're talking months and months into the future. And when it happened, it was so significant that the Nintendo Wii lacked a major title release during the window that Smash Bros. Was originally supposed to come out. Enter Suda51 and No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. Because of Smash Bros.' absence from the now empty lineup, Suda51 actually moved up the release date of Travis's second game, resulting in a new title for the Nintendo Wii, while Smash still had more time to develop. Now, this isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it didn't need to happen. What happened here is basically Suda51 and his team did a solid for Sakurai, and if you're ever wondering just how significant it was, in the special thanks of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, you can see the name Suda51. So because Super Smash Bros. Actually relied so heavily on No More Heroes once in the past to close the gap on a very serious delay, this one incident is enough, in my opinion, to justify, hey, Travis at least deserves a shot. The next thing is that there's a sequel. Sort of. No More Heroes has a new game coming out. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. While it's not a mainline entry in the series and has a different style of presentation and gameplay, this is a new No More Heroes game coming to the Nintendo Switch. This is relevant. Travis Touchdown is back in the game. With a relevant character making his big splash and return to the Nintendo Switch, it's only natural that you'd want to see something like this on Super Smash Bros. Suda51 wants it, I want it, No More Heroes fans everywhere want it, and you should want it, because even though he wields a sword, Travis is certainly not your average sword user. Not by a long shot. Hell, he's not even your average video game character. This is a guy whose design was based on Johnny Knoxville from Jackass. We're talking a very different, original kind of character with a lot of fun little aspects about his personality. Now, some might want to naysay and say, no, you can't have Travis Touchdown. Travis Touchdown is too mature. He's inappropriate for young audiences. Have you heard of Bayonetta? Bayonetta entered Super Smash Bros., and that's because of the Smash Fighter ballot. Great, good for Bayonetta. Good for Travis Touchdown fans. If Bayonetta, who is just as over-the-top crazy violent with her demonic hair powers and sexual allure, can get into Super Smash Bros. With some appropriate toning down, then I think the same thing can happen to Travis Touchdown. I think that his same personality that usually screams things like, "Fuckhead! It's called fashionably late, fuckface." These kind of things are his quotes, but he could easily be toned down to still be Travis Touchdown without losing who he is as a character in the Super Smash Bros. World. Frankly, I think this dichotomy of having such an extreme personality among the Smash Bros. Characters would really show up well in matches, with the way he would enter on his giant Akira-style bike and have all sorts of cool things going on with the characters. Heck, he'd probably be the kind of person freaking out about being in Super Smash Bros., and given that the plot of his new game involves him being sucked into a video game console, this would tie in very well and make for a pretty funny crossover. Now, with me saying all of this, I can of course acknowledge Travis Touchdown is not the most likely thing to touch down in Super Smash Bros. Frankly, it's a bit of a long shot, and these very specific things that happened in the past are the only clues that could lead to this happening. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate really seems to be like the most do-or-die situation for Nintendo characters and otherwise. If you can't get into Smash Bros. Ultimate, you'll never get into Smash Bros. That's kind of the impression that we get here. And while it's not necessarily owed to Suda51, I think that Sakurai should do it. I think that even though Bayonetta is a much more popular character, and Nintendo put a lot of money into it, obviously Suda51 has been doing a lot of work on his end to make Travis more approachable for a new audience and more consumer-friendly without his over-the-top hardcore background. No More Heroes needs a new port anyway. It could really use being put on the Nintendo Switch and get a really cool experience out of it, because more people should play that game. It was a really fun experience. But either way, I really hope to see Travis Touchdown in the new Super Smash Bros., and with the things I've laid out here, it certainly seems possible. While it's not likely because of Travis's lack of a presence compared to other characters on the roster, I think that he really deserves it because, again, desperate times called for desperate measures. No More Heroes 2 was a desperate struggle, and they got that game out so that Brawl could have more development time. That very specific incident in the past, I think, should be enough to say, you know what, we're putting in all these other characters. Alright, Goichi Suda, I'll do it. We're friends. And Travis Touchdown would be in the game, and it'd be a happy ending for everybody, and even if he doesn't have his suggestive powering up charging the beam katana, that would be fine. Anyway, I'm Stanpie. Thanks for tuning into this video and checking out all this information about my most beloved Travis Touchdown. If you're a fan of No More Heroes, please let me know in the comments, and if you haven't heard of it before, check it out. It's not the easiest game to get a hold of, and though they did port the first game to the PlayStation 3, you're better off just finding it for the Wii. Go play No More Heroes. If you're into anime, if you're into those kind of games, if you're into weeaboo niche stuff, it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of a, like, I find it's very strange that I see so many American anime fans also are fans of wrestling, so I feel like Travis Touchdown is a true otaku after the American's heart. Until next time, this is Stanpie. Be sure to like, subscribe, click that notification button, and all that other shill stuff that you hear at the end of videos. As for Travis Touchdown, it's going to be a long, hard road, but who knows? Could kick ass, could be dangerous, could totally suck. What do you say, Sakurai? Want to let him join?